In 2009, a light-footed Ridgeway rail named Amelia was released in Point Mugu. It took a year for her to navigate through Southern California, but after traveling 160 miles, Amelia found home, Sweetwater Marsh of San Diego. The light-footed Ridgeway's rail is a small bird, about the size of a hen. Named after their skinny legs, it is one of the 3 subspecies of Ridgeway's rail. Active at the light of dawn or the dark of dusk, the rail rarely ventures away from the cover of cordgrass. They build unique, buoyant nests and incubate anywhere from 2 to 14 eggs inside the platform. The light-footed Ridgeway's rail has been listed as federally endangered since 1970. We've only recently begun to appreciate the benefits of rails in the wetlands they live in, but even after 50 years, they continue to face the same threats from human development and invasive predators, despite having support from the Endangered Species Act. Congress needs to take more action to save the Ridgeway's rail. San Diego County is a biodiversity hotspot, meaning it is extremely rich in species. However, it is threatened by human development and activity, and salt marshes are a prime example. This emphasizes further need for protection. Otherwise, the light-footed Ridgeway's rail will have no place to call home. The presence of a rail is a sign of a healthy wetland, a benefit for both people and animals alike. Sustainable fishing, water purification, and biodiversity are all perks of coastal wetlands. We invite the Friends of Famosa Slough, a local salt marsh, to speak on that.
Well, the benefit of wetlands to people, there are just a whole bunch of them. The one that's most prominent right now is the fact that they sequester so much carbon. The wetlands have a huge biodiversity value. And then we know about all the distinct endangered species, like Ridgeway's rails, like Belding savanna sparrows, that depend totally on wetlands.
Over 90% of this habitat has been destroyed. This has consequences. Many of the benefits of wetlands will be lost. How can we get people to help to reverse the damage before it is too late? Dr. Joy Zedler, an expert on wetlands, explains the connection between the Ridgeway's rail conservation and wetland restoration.
If you can accommodate the Ridgeway's rail, you'll also be accommodating the cordgrass and the crabs and the many other species in the salt marsh.
The rail conservation is ongoing. The Living Coast Discovery Center, part of Team Clapper Rail, has introduced almost 950 rails back into the wild since 2000.
We just have the propagation program. So we raise the rails and we put them out into the wild. When we raise rails, we look for the different populations of rails that are naturally occurring, and we try and enhance them with the ones that are captive raised and reared here by the pairs that we have here. So we're always looking at the population genetics to understand what's present in a specific population or what might need a little bit of help or support. The Endangered Species Act is really what makes all of this possible.
The conservation of habitat that endangered animals live in is a focus of the Fish and Wildlife Services. By saving endangered animals' habitat, they can have a place to live and can better repopulate themselves. However, in Southern California, an increase in demand for land makes this extremely difficult. The light-footed Ridgeway's Rail Recovery Plan, revised in 1985, states, "The light-footed clapper rail is endangered because its range is limited to a relatively small anchorage, and this anchorage continues to be destroyed or adversely modified. Fragmented populations will become more isolated by urban development, and species such as the rail will become vulnerable to other threats, like invasive predators and a lack of genetic flow."
We need nature, and nature needs us. We need wetlands, and wetlands need us. We are absolutely dependent on the natural world, whether we recognize it or not. But the natural world cannot take care of itself. It needs our help. It needs our protection.
The light-footed Ridgeway's rail needs our help, and that comes in the form of salt marsh preservation. Wetlands are essential to our San Diegan community, but getting people to care about them starts here.
One of the biggest ways that we can inspire conservation of our natural spaces is by connecting people with the ones that are right here in their own backyards.
And what the clapper rail did was to create a charismatic image for the whole salt marsh habitat. So people might not care about a stem of cordgrass, but they care about something as beautiful and as meaningful as the Ridgeway's rail.
Extinction should be a national concern. The Act protects not just endangered species, many of the species too, the ecosystems that house them, and crucially, areas that are so valuable to us Americans.
Conservation, then, is more than the protecting of endangered species. It is the securing of our future. Congress needs to strengthen the ESA. Being in nature is an experience all Americans should be blessed with, and rather than depriving future generations of possible sources of inspiration and innovation, we as a country should strive to leave behind a legacy of possibility and opportunity.
More and more species are at the risk of disappearing, and we are facing extraordinary pressure from threats such as climate change. Protecting species like the Ridgeway's rail and the wetlands they call home is difficult, but with support, recovery is possible. Following the footsteps of Amelia, we must take this one step at a time.